So you're going to hear more than enough from me. So this is going to be a very short sermon. I even have just index cards. I don't have a full thing in here. Because we're going to be in our annual meeting. So just a few thoughts, because the gospel is really an important thing to think about and to consider and to look at. And I want to talk about reading, or really how we choose to read. Now, when I was teaching in graduate school, when I was teaching college students, really I found that what most of my students read for was plot and how to ace a test. And that's what they got. So they read it really, really quickly, and they got just like the big points of like Shakespeare. Hamlet dies. That's what they got. I'm sorry if I remember that. And then what I needed to do was say, just read slowly. Don't read just paragraphs, read sentences. Don't just read sentences, read words. Just kind of dig yourself into these words. And you're like, Tim, we got more than enough to do. We can't just pull it out on the bus to school, but just read slowly and you'll get so much more out of what we're actually reading, what we're actually doing. And writing the paper will be much easier. And I think in the church, we can say a similar thing. Often, when we're hearing and we're reading, we read or hear for plot, what Jesus did, or we look for the lesson, the kind of so what. Why is this important? Why is Jesus saying this? What does St. Paul want to teach us? And I think what we need to do as Christians, especially as Christians in America, in the United States, is to read more slowly. Because when we race to the end of that sentence and get that really nice bit about you will not enter the kingdom of heaven, we kind of get fearful and think, oh no, what do we got to do? But we miss something when we do it. We miss something really important, and that's where Jesus begins. I tried to emphasize this when I read it this morning. But Jesus says, you are the salt of the earth. Not Jesus, not the Pharisees, but you, the audience, who he's talking to. And yeah, he could be talking to the disciples, he could be talking to a crowd, but he's also talking to you right now. You are the salt of the earth. He also says, rather surprisingly, you are the light of the world. Now in St. John's Gospel, he says, I'm the light of the world. I'm the one who is the light of the world, that kind of sheds light over all the confusing things, the dark things, the strange things. I am the light that comes in the darkness. But here he says, you right here are the light of the world. And that's pretty astounding. For Jesus in his time, he's probably talking to people who are fishermen, tax collectors, people who are really not the light of the world. And that probably surprised him. But he's also talking to all of you. We talk about God as being the light of the world. We talk about the light coming into here. We talk about the light of Jesus Christ exploding forth from our hearts. But he's saying that you are bringing light into the horrible, wretched, awful places in the world. You are the light of the world. Sit with that a second. Do you realize what he's saying? Light is not just lights. Lights that I can, when I look up at the lights, I'm like, is there a fire there? I can't even see. No, you are the light. You are the light that brings revelation into the world. Because when Jesus came, Jesus was revealing stuff. I think I preached about this last week. Jesus was revealing to the world how the world works, that God is love, that God cares for those who are in trouble. And I encourage you to go back and read the Isaiah passage that Deirdre read this morning, because it's amazing. And we often run to the end of that one, too, all the good stuff. But in the beginning, it's saying some really important things, like if you don't treat the people around you well, that has a direct connection to our society. Go back and read it. It's amazing. It's spectacular. Jesus came to reveal God's love, that we should care for the poor. That revelation that no matter what we do, as long as we turn back to the Lord, turn back to God, we will be accepted. Reconciliation is possible even in the most horrible parts of the world. And Jesus is saying, the one who reveals the deepest secrets of the world is you. That's really cool. And it's really, really important. Because when we go out, this is the problem. Do you ever find someone wrong on the internet? And it's like, oh no, I need to correct them. And then you realize one day that you've corrected maybe one person and probably irritated everybody else. We can sometimes feel like, you know what? This isn't working. I'm not doing enough good. I'm not helping enough people. There's still sorrow and poverty and hatred and bigotry in the world, and it's just not enough. And what Jesus says is, it is enough. Because you are revealing to the world that God is love, and that helping the poor, the downhearted, the depressed is not just important, but it is making a huge, huge difference. Now today is our annual meeting. I hope you all will be in there to stuff your face full of yummy, yummy food and enjoy one another's company and listen to the good things that our church is doing. As a priest, as the rector, I get to hear a lot of what you all are doing. Some of it is private, so forgive me if I'm being a little bit vague. But I get to hear what you're all doing. And I get to see what Christ Church is doing. And because of whenever we go out, everyone says, oh, go talk to everybody. I get to go talk to everybody. But I also look at you working. And I work, especially at the Samaritan Center and the Clear Path back in October. And I see the look on people's faces when you give them food, when you talk to them, when you listen to them, when they see you again so that people will say, wow, you know, I'm poor and broke and I have nowhere to go, but you know what? I'm going to see some people time and time again at the Samaritan Center. I see the look on their faces when they see you and their soul rests. You are the light of the world. Christ Church is the light of the world. That can give us a bit of pride, kind of a big ego, but we can also be too humble. What you all have done in this community over the many years, whether it's in school or whether it's in your retirement and everywhere in between, you have saved people's lives. You have transformed their lives from something of depression into something of love. That is something commendable. And I thank you for that. We see the steeple lit up. And we get happy because we're like, oh, there's my church. You know, you can see it kind of coming over the hill from the wind. You're like, oh, there it is in the trees, and the kind of thing. People see this church and they feel hope in our community. People see this church and they say, you know what, there's something good in the world. People see you and say, you know what, I've been reading the news a lot. I've been hurting a lot. People are jerks. No one uses their turn signals. People run red lights. I'm not going to get into traffic right now. And they see you and they say, it's worth it. Because what they're doing and what they stand for and what they reveal about our human hearts and the heart of the world makes me live bigger. You are the light of the world. Do not forget that. Do not forget what you need to be. Do not forget what this church means to people. Even people who have never sat in these very comfortable pews. Continue to be that light. Listen about that light in our annual meeting. And when we go out into the world, it looks like it's going to be a pretty great day, but I don't know, maybe a little bit of blue. When it's cold and you see that one person suddenly light up because you've looked at them, because you've helped them, because you've healed them, know that you are Jesus Christ to the world. That is a heavy burden to carry, but it is the best burden to carry in all of history, in all of existence. God bless you in your